June 4th, 1942, before sunrise, the United States was attacked by the Japs at the island of Midway. Led by Admiral Yamamoto, the Japanese naval forces were craving revenge after what happened to them at the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
The initial attack on Midway occurred about 6 months after the invasion of Pearl Harbor. Yamamoto's plan was to attack Midway while sending a fleet of warships to the Aleutian Islands, located westward of the Alaskan Peninsula.
Yamamoto's tactic was to try to use the attack on the Aleutian Islands as a decoy. However, his plan was discovered by American commander Joseph Rockford, who hacked into Japanese naval communications and immediately notified United States Admiral Chester Nimitz.
On the other end of the spectrum, the United States Navy was prepared for what the Japanese thought would be a surprise attack. For the Battle of Midway, the United States was able to assemble 6 heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser, 17 destroyers, and 3 aircraft carriers, which held a total of 233 aircrafts.
The Japanese Navy, on the other hand, was able to corral 11 battleships, 23 cruisers, 65 destroyers, 21 submarines, and 8 aircraft carriers, which included 700 airplanes loaded with machine guns and bombs. However, much of the military equipment never went to battle due to the unexpected presence of the United States Navy at the island of Midway. The first fleet of Japanese forces left for the island of Midway at 3 a.m. on June 4th. This striking force included 4 carriers and over 100 aircrafts. The force arrived in Midway at around 6 o'clock that morning. However, there was not a single aircraft on Midway's airfield when the Japanese fleet first arrived. They were all in the air, waiting for the Japs to attack.
Admiral Nimitz in the United States Navy outsmarted the Japanese in this particular and crucial battle. They did so by using sonar to their advantage and using a high level of intelligence. As the Japanese arrived to the island of Midway, the United States Navy had a slight advantage due to their positioning and knowledge.
The United States naval forces made an immediate impact on the outcome of the battle early on in the attack on Midway. The 3 United States carriers, including the USS Yorktown, sunk 2 of the 4 Japanese carriers right off the bat. However, the Japanese aircrafts had the upper hand over the United States aircrafts in the beginning of the Battle of Midway. Yamamoto was not expecting the 3 U.S. carriers at the scene. He figured the United States Navy would send help up to the Aleutian Islands and that it would be a crucial yet easy victory for Japan. However, he was certainly wrong about the outcome of Midway.
The United States showed no lack of determination at any point in the Battle of Midway. They fought and they fought, showing pride, a characteristic in which this nation was built upon. At about 11 a.m. on June 4th, Admiral Yamamoto receives the news about the attack, which was growing into a huge disaster for both Japan's military and nation.
After day 1 of the Battle of Midway, the Japanese retreated westward toward their base after their horrific and devastating naval losses in their initial attack. However, Admiral Nimitz and the U.S. Navy would not let the Japanese fleet meet up once again.
He sent the Yorktown after the Japanese naval fleet, but the life of the Yorktown took a turn for the worse. It was picked up by Japanese radar and destroyed by 2 torpedoes sent from Japanese submarines.
A few days after the Battle of Midway, it was clear many casualties were suffered for both the American Navy and the Japanese Navy. Along those lines, the American naval forces lost a total of 307 men, about 150 planes, a destroyer, and the USS Yorktown. Although these losses were devastating, many of the soldiers lost in the battle would be proud for what they stood for. They fought for the country in which they dedicated their pride towards. Yet their losses were tough for the American military and nation to lose. The Japanese casualties were far more worse.
The Japanese forces lost a total of 4 carriers, a heavy cruiser, 3 destroyers, 322 planes, and more than 5,000 men. The death toll for the Japanese were terrible. However, its losses in pilots were more significant. The Japanese Navy lost so many trained and brave pilots they were never able to restore their air force to full power again in World War II.
As we look back at the Battle of Midway, it is clear the United States was pronounced victorious. The Battle of Midway was the first win for the United States Navy in World War II, and also the first loss for the Japanese. The Battle of Midway was a huge momentum swing in the war over the Pacific, and it will play a significant role in the United States history. Thank you for listening to this DL General Productions newsreel. Till next time,
Be America, know America.
Derick Smith here of Stars and Stripes News, alongside Logan Tingley, a U.S. military soldier who fought in the Battle of Midway. So, Logan, where were you living when you were enrolled into the military?
I was living in Sacramento, California at the time.
Were you drafted or did you enlist into the military?
I decided to enlist
Why?
because I felt like I needed to do something more for my country, not so much for me, but to help others.
What was your assignment?
I was assigned to be a soldier on the USS Enterprise.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
Yeah, there was a lot. I don't know an exact number, but I had to lose a lot of my dear friends.
How did you stay in touch with your family throughout the Battle of Midway?
Once a week, we were given the chance to write a letter and send to our family members who we chose to.
Thank you for your time today, Logan. It's greatly appreciated. Till next time, Derick Smith, Stars and Stripes News.